What's up, everybody? Cash here, bringing you kind of the second part of the team building videos. Um, so yesterday went over how to build for ladder games, or at least how I do it. And today I'm going to talk about something a little bit more advanced, which is building for tour games. Um, so the real difference is that when people are building for the ladder, you want to have like a nice, well-rounded team that gives you the least bad matchups as possible. So you're basically just trying to build like, no matter what you come across, you have probably answers for it. When you play tours, you can do a little bit more targeting of what your opponent likes to bring. Um, or you can bring some different teams with like lures on them, which I'll go over. So basically, this is gonna be another short video, just because I'm busy this weekend. But the only two things I'm gonna go over are scouting, and I'm gonna go over lures. So I'm gonna show everyone a spreadsheet. Some of you know that I was on the Heatrans for the 1v1 Premier League. We obviously did win, um, and I really didn't play much. And I feel like there are some people who think that I basically did nothing, which is actually not the case. So I'm going to show you this spreadsheet. So this is a spreadsheet I kept during the Premier League. I only kept it up till week 5 because I just got too busy in real life. But I'd kept this pretty much every week. So you can read what I wrote here, right? I put together all the teams, all the mods people used. I just have the standings here so you can see them easier. So like you could go in any of these. You can. This is the Jump Bluffs team. You can see what everyone played the first 5 weeks, teams they lost, what happened, which mon they picked, and the replays are all here, easy to use. So basically every week what I would do is no matter who our opponent was. So let's say we were let's say we were playing the Articunos, and because they had Elo and Squirtle. So let's say we're playing the Articunos, right? And whoever it was, let's say like Bale was playing against like Elo, right? So I would make a new spreadsheet. I'd put all of these replays, all of these mods in. I'd watch these each individually. I'd write down what pieces of the sets I saw. Moves. Depends on like what their EVs were, if they were like bulky, not as bulky. So I do that for basically everyone, if they wanted, and I would send it to them, my teammates through Discord. These were all just like it was just our team. So we'd go on, you'd look, and you could see what basically everyone used. What people liked, and you basically just look for patterns, right? And lots of people are like, oh, I don't have like a certain pattern in my play. Everyone has one, and once you get enough data, you can figure them out. So you basically just go and you just look through replays. Like I just noticed one right here. I was looking at Raj teams, so you can see that he brought Greninja, Dragonite, Aggron, right? He brought this 2 games in a row. Water, Dragon, Steel, right? And then you look down at his next week games. What did he bring? Manaphy, Garchomp, Jirachi. Water, Dragon, Steel. Right? So you can be like, now when you start building, you're like, all right, I know I need to have answers for, this specific team setup. Right? It's not about, some people are like, oh, you're trying to build C teams, which is like counter teams, which means like, I'm trying to look for one mon that beats all of these 3, like something weird, so I can just put it on. That's not really what it's about. You can't really build C teams because people aren't going to bring the same thing over and over. But what you can do is you look and you can bring what you think is going to have good matchups versus the types of teams they normally bring. Right? Like Hudson's teams, you can look right here, right? He brings this like Mienshao, Magmortar, Tapu Lele team. That's not a common team. Like Mienshao, not very much used. Magmortar, never used ever. But like he brought it once here, he brought it twice, now he's brought it 3 times. So even if he doesn't bring that again, you know that it's probably a good idea that if you're playing Hudson the next week, that you'd want to make sure you have answers for these things on your team. Make sure that none of these things just beat you, right? And it's not about making sure like, oh, I have something that beats all three of these. It just makes sure you have one thing that can beat any of these, so that you don't come across someone bringing something weird, or someone just brings some weird mon that's not really used, right? Like, most of these are pretty standard, but like someone just brings like whatever type of mon that's just low viability, like brings a Buffalant, like brings a Sudowoodo, and you don't have any answers. You're like, oh crap, nothing on my team can beat Sudowoodo. I just lose, right? It'd be like if you played Hudson and he brought Magmortar, and you're like, I don't have anything that beats Magmortar on my team. I lose. Like, you should know that, it's a possibility that he's going to bring this. So, yeah, so every week, I'd look through these. But so now, say you're playing in a tournament, right? Let's go back to Showdown. Say you're playing in a tournament, whoever you're playing, you get matched up on Smoggin, and you want to be like, okay, I'd like to watch, like, replays. How would I do that? So when you're on the home page here, you go down to the bottom. Here's replays right here, and you just type a username in, right? So say you were like playing me, right? You could click cash, you click these, and you could see, all right, here are all my games versus Blaziken, one random game versus James. I'm not sure why that's even here, but oh, so it's probably a tour finals actually. That's why it got automatically saved, like a room tour. My games versus Rye, my games versus Ape. These are my seasonal games versus QT. My seasonal games versus Magma. My seasonal games versus Neomon. Right, like, and then you wouldn't be able to see these. Only I can see them. But like, these are private replays. Right, so you can come in here. You can look at all of these. You can go through every single one of these and be like, all right, let's see what teams Cash is bringing week to week. He's bringing this. He's bringing this. Like, whatever. And then you can get a better idea of what I'm gonna bring. You might be like, wow, this is like a lot of work. I don't really want to do all of this. Which is fine. Like, you can see the tournament games I'm playing now, like these ones I just played that I put the video up. I didn't prep at all for them. I just played. But like, I could have, typed Blaziken in here, went and just started watching his replays. But some people keep them private, and then you can't see them. But a good way to kind of get past that is you go onto Smoggin here. Hopefully everyone has an account, right? You search, and you can just search the member. So you can look for whoever you want. So we'll just, I'm going to search Flint, my super old friend. He doesn't play anything, but he plays Bounce Ackmons, right? So you can search this, and then you can just go on his profile. And you can look at like his postings. You can go through these, find where he posted replays of tours he played in, or he played in tours, and you can just start watching them through there. All right. So that's a good way that you can like scout your opponents. And then you basically just, all you do is look for small patterns, maybe specific cores that they like to use, specific mons that they bring a lot, teams that they bring like every week. Some people like to just bring teams over and over. You can even look for, all right, so obviously, some people switch teams every game. But like, you can look at Squirtles here and see that, he's bringing some, like, this is the same team as this. He brought this team twice here. Like, it's possible he's bringing the same team over and over. He might not switch every game. And that can give you a good advantage. Say you play someone, I'm trying to think what teams everyone was on. Wasn't that one. Wasn't Blaziken, I don't think. I don't know who it was. I want to say it was, I don't know who. I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Iron Crusher, maybe. We'll just bring the same team every single game in a row, and that can give you an advantage because if you think your opponent's going to bring the same team over and over because he or she has been doing that in the past, then when you're like, oh, okay, I'm going into game 2, strong possibility they're going to bring the same team again because they've done that in the past. This is a good example right here. JD Campbell, he, for the first 3 weeks, I'm pretty sure out of all of these, he only brought like 3 teams. right? He brought this Incineroar team, he brought this Aegislash team, and then so he was bringing that like pretty much on repeat. I think this was actually the week that we played it, maybe. Before that, he just brought, here's the Incineroar team again, the Aegislash team again. He's just bringing the same type of stuff over and over. So you got to be ready for those type of things. Like I helped Waylay prep versus JT Campbell, and we literally built teams that were just designed to beat all these. Like, we had answers for all the stuff he normally brought. So that's really the first way to get a big advantage when you're taking it towards really seriously. Build with their preferences in mind. And it's not about building counter teams. It's about building for good matchups where you're not getting 3-0'd. Always, you're giving yourself a good way to win. And you can also look and just be like, all right, maybe he's bringing these teams over and over. He's really, like, we noticed that JT's really weak to Hoopa on a lot of his teams, right? So we brought Hoopa because, Hoopa on its own is decently good, but Hoopa also versus him is really good, which puts pressure on him. So that's all a positive thing. So that's pretty much what scouting's all about. It's really not hard. It is kind of be a little time consuming. So you really have to be like committed to wanting to win. But it is a good strategy. And second thing I want to talk about is building lures, right? What does that mean? I have some replays we can look at, which will be a good show of that. So this is Bale playing AKA Phila and is in some of the tour games. And how it works is you can look at Bale's team right here, right? Naganadel, Metagross, Zeraora. What do these things have in common? Every single one of them is weak to ground moves. They are all weak to ground moves. Dies super effective ground moves against this. Super effective ground moves. Super effective ground moves. And then you can listen. This worked out perfectly because look at this. It's Landorus. If you're playing against it here, you're like, okay, well, I think I just send my ground type out and click Earthquake, right? Because you just win automatically. But Bale built this on purpose. This is a bait. He knows, obviously, Bale is like a mod in the room, right? He knows these are all weak to ground. So we can watch what happens this game, right? So he sends out his Metagross. Phila sends out his Landorus, which is to be expected because he's thinking, okay, ground type, super great matchup versus all of this. And what happens here? Oh, he's fast Ice Punch. And boom, just kills him, right? Because his team is ready for ground types. The whole point of it is to make the other person to send their ground type out so you can beat them. So we have another replay here. Bale brings the exact same team. AK Philip brings a similar one. And he sends Landorus out again. And this time Bale sends Naganadel out. And you're like, oh, well, he got him this time because Naganadel will just die to a ground move. Right? That's pretty obvious. Oh, Naganadel is Specs HP Ice. And it just kills the ground type. Alright? So, Bale's built this purposely because he's trying to get his opponent to send a ground type out, and he's using things that are uncommon, like HP Ice Naganadel, to beat them. Because he's trying to get this matchup in, because he knows that he has something that's obscure, like HP Ice Specs Naganadel, which no one really uses, that just beats Landorus. And it's working here. And the last one, these are all three the exact same series. Look, he brings the team again. This time, Donphan on the other team. So he's like, okay, well, I'm going to win here, right? Boom. He's Magnet Rise Metagross. So now you can't even get hit with ground type moves. Unfortunately, AKFL was the right set to beat this. But he actually, Bale kind of played really well around the moves that he could have gone for. And ended up beating him with this, which was just a well-played game. But you can see that he has the answers to just go towards whatever and win. So yeah, that's basically how lures work. All right, you're gonna build a team, so we could go in, in our team builder, and let's say whoever I was playing has a tendency that they they're always bringing, they bring Garchomp a lot, right? So I can make a team that looks like all of my mons are weak to Garchomp, but realistically, Like I'd be like, oh yeah, he thinks Garchomp's really good. I'll use HP Ice Magnezone, right? Like I'll use whatever you want. I'll use Ice Beam, Scarf Tyranitar, and I'll just Ice Beam his like Garchomp when it comes out. Or like um, I'll have a slower dragon like he's got Garchomp. I'll use Haxorus with Haban Berry to make it take less damage from Outrage, and then I'll kill him back with my own Outrage. Right? You're using stuff that isn't necessarily. You know how yesterday we looked at all of these sets, right? You might here's the set ability, like you're using something that might not be on here, right? Like Magnet Rise isn't technically on here, even though it's like kind of common-ish, right? But it's not really on there. So people aren't ready for it because people don't expect that. People don't really use that, and that's what happens. So people send stuff out like here. So here's Axis, right? It's 3 sets: Choice Band, Choice Scarf, and Z move. And now all of a sudden you're using Haban Berry, right? No one expects that because everyone thinks it's one of these. And then you use your Dragon move, it takes half the damage and then it kills you, and you lose. So things like that aren't great on ladder because they only really work a few times. So if I'm playing you on ladder and you send out, Haban Berry Haxorus, and I can't kill you the first time, then the next game I come across you 2 games later, and I know what set you are. So now I'm ready for that, and I can send something else out to win. All right. So now I'm like, okay, well, I know that he's gonna just go for this Haban thing. So instead of sending out my Dragon type again, I'll send out my Ice type, and I'll just win that way. Like I'll send out my Specs Greninja and I'll just click Ice Beam instead, or like something like that. So that's basically how lure works. They're a little bit harder to build because they take a lot of I guess like creativity that you need to put in. You need to really think about what's good, what's not good. And I recommend, maybe grab one of your friends or someone on Showdown and try to do it with them. Because when you talk to someone, like, the more you talk out loud and hear other opinions, you're going to see things that, you didn't see the first time. Like, I've built so many teams where I just, like, I'm done. I'm like, okay, this team looks okay. And I show it to someone in, like, my, the Discord, and they're just like, this team just loses to this. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think about that. So then I have to go back and change it. All right, so it's good to get some other opinions because people are going to see things that you don't see. So, yeah, that's basically the only real differences. It's basically just a little bit more work, a little bit more thinking that goes into it. But you can use some cool stuff because you see some of the teams I bring for tours. Those are not the same teams that I'm like really using on the ladder. I've got some like crazy things in here that I don't really like. If I was trying to ladder for like this ladder tournament, I wouldn't bring some of the teams that I'm going to bring to a tour because they're just not as good. Because they're not consistent, but they're really good in, just one match because the other opponent's not expecting those things. So yeah, so it's a little bit different and it's a little bit harder and there's a lot more to think about. But if you're interested in starting to play tours, if you're in a tour and you're trying to like build your own teams, those are some good things to think about. First, making sure you know your opponent, you know their weaknesses, their strengths, and then at the second part, you can try to, even if you just want to say you have to play best of 5 and you want to bring a lure once, you can just try it once. It doesn't work, it's okay, because you have 5 games, right? And if it does work, that's pretty cool. It gets you a free win. So good luck, everybody. I hope if you play any tour games, you try some of these strategies out. They are successful. They will win you games. They will win you whole tours, right? I just showed you the scouting and the lures that my team was doing for a tournament that we won the whole thing of. So this stuff is successful and is good. So good luck with it. I hope everyone is, trying to play tours. I like to see more people in the tour scene because, it's fun. It's fun to see people who aren't as well known, have some success and beat some of these bigger name players. I like to see that. So hopefully everyone learned a little bit something from there. Maybe even current tour players learned a little bit something about scouting and things like that. And I hope you can use this knowledge to, win more games and hopefully win some trophies too. So that's all for today. Hope you guys are having a good weekend, and I'll see you next week.